everyone, this is TJR, and of course I'm here today at Namm 2018. We've been here for a couple days, and I'm here with, of course, most of you know Robert Kinsler, who is my arch nemesis and one of my greatest enemies of all time. And also here with us today is Bob Steshetz, who's a noted photographer, rock photographer, who we've had his pictures on our show in the past. We featured a lot of his photos, and he's been hanging out with us today. And we are just going to kind of talk about some of what we've seen at Namm that we have just been impressed with, that we think is cool, that we want to talk about here, and hope you you know, find this informative. If not, at the very least, you might find it somewhat comical. If not, at any rate, though,
I'm thinking comical.
There we go. So let's start off just as far as what's impressed you, and who wants to go first? Because I don't want to hog the mic here.
Well,
Here.
I mean, here. The first things we saw we were here on Media Day, which was kind of fun. But the thing I really enjoyed, you know, you see a lot of interesting products and new stuff. But the thing that kind of pulled me in was Reverend Guitar's Billy Corgan model guitar. I had to photograph that because it was just so cool. The colors were amazing, the contours on it, and it just made a great piece to shoot. So that was like one of the things that I saw that I really impressed by. And there was the other day we saw a banjo that was a Yellow Submarine banjo, Yellow Submarine themed banjo. So
yeah, that was cool.
And the whole back side of it was all the the Yellow Submarine cartoon characters, and it's carved in. It was just amazing. The inlay down the neck was amazing. There was just some fantastic work. You know, the guy actually pulled it out of the case and let me take a look at it up close, and I thought it was amazing.
If I can interject, that's one of the nice things about Namm is the ability to actually try out these instruments, check them out. Since we're on products, I'm going to talk about the one product that really impressed me. Bose is, of course, many people know Bose for their home sound systems, their Bluetooth speakers, their Wave CD players, their cinema systems. What a lot of people probably don't know is that Bose also makes professional PA systems for musicians. And I have been using their L2 PA system for years. It's one of the best musician PA, it is the best musician PA I've ever tried. But they've now come out with a new product. It is a very small miniature single speaker, 15-pound miniature PA system with dual inputs for guitar and vocals, with built-in tone match preset effects. That sounds absolutely awesome, tremendously portable, great for musicians in small venues, tiny venues, coffee houses, great for buskers because it has battery power of up to 6 hours. I was so impressed with this particular new piece of technology that my first thought is I need to get one right away. I want to have one as a musician. So I just want to bring that up. Robert, I'm going to pass it to you now.
You know, I've seen so many things, and, you know, your mind processes them. But I will say yesterday I went to Roland and I saw, I want to say it's an Aerophone digital wind instrument where it kind of sounds like a sax, and you're looking at it, it looks like something out of Star Wars. I mean, truly, and then yet you hear it, and it was just sounded like a soprano sax, just very beautiful, and it just blows you away. You'll just be walking along Namm, and you know, the sights and sounds just literally come at you from everywhere. It's just crazy what you see, and obviously you know, we're talking about products, and then just all the great musicians. You just walk by, you're gravitated. Oh, what's that? You know, and it's just so exciting.
And earlier, you and I were at the Yamaha booth, and we're going to have a separate video on this, by the way, so I won't talk too much about it. But it's an acoustic guitar. The technology will allow you to hear chorus and delay without being plugged into any pedals. Just like in your living room, you'll be able to sit there and play and hear the inspiration of hearing chorus and delay effects on your guitar without any pedals, which is quite amazing.
Yeah, and I might let, and I want to make sure we showcase some of Bob's photos of that too, but we saw a very special performance from, and hopefully I get this right, his name is Brandon. I'll let Bob... Niedenauer. This kid is 14 years of age, and what I will tell people, this is what occurred to me. He's a combination of the talent of Gary Clark Jr. and Alvin Lee at his best from 10 years after. He has that fiery, precise speed, but he has an artistry that's his own, and he's 14 years of age. it truly, you know, I had just seen Eric Johnson. You'd say, God, it must be tough for somebody to follow up Eric Johnson, this legendary Austin guitar player. This little kid, Brandon, does that. And I'll let Bob's more familiar with him, and I'll let him talk about him a little bit.
I saw Brandon the first time at Namm when he was 12, so now he's 14, so it was a couple years ago. And he came out and played with George Clinton, and it was just insane. I mean, he came out, here's this little kid comes out and just totally rocked it. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And there's people that play the guitar, and their technique is fantastic, and you know they know what they're doing, but his playing comes from the soul.
Yeah,
it comes from the soul, and there's a lot of emotion, and it's stuff that you can't. I don't know how you get it.
Yeah.
You can't be. It's not something you can teach people.
No,
but it comes from inside, and it's just an unbelievable thing. Brandon was in the School of Rock on Broadway for Andrew Lloyd Webber's play in New York, and he played that for almost a year. And it was just, you know, I always wanted to go see it. I was, you know, his dad said, if you ever come out to New York, come on out. I told him, well, I'll probably, you know, Brandon will be driving a car by the time I get to New York. So, that's not going to happen. But my daughter did get to go see it, and they said it was fantastic. So, I mean, I'm sorry I missed it, but you know what? I get to see Brandon every year when he comes to Namm.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I don't think, like you said, he's just now working on his first album, so we don't even have an album that we can put on the screen. But hopefully, when his album comes out, I look forward to hearing that.
I want to talk about the concert because we were all there. We all got to see it. Who wants to start on that?
Well, I could say for one thing. What was the opener? Tracy Sterling?
No, Lindsey
Sterling. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Lindsey Sterling had to be one of the most hardest people I've ever tried to photograph at any time because
she won't stand still.
Every time you get to one spot, she goes to it. You know, and it was back and forth, and it was like I think I got a couple of captures. I haven't looked at my pictures yet, but I'm assuming that I got some good stuff. The rest of it was just everybody had their impression of who was going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, some people.
That's right. Should we talk about the rumors a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Well, one of the ones I heard, Elton John.
Yeah.
Really?
Stevie Wonder, I heard.
Yeah.
Alicia Keys.
Oh, that's funny. We all heard
Yeah,
different.
we all heard different rumors.
Don't trust the rumors, everybody. Don't trust the
And
rumors.
David Crosby.
Oh, I
heard that one too.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, you know, but you know, in true Yamaha fashion. You know, they pulled people out, and one of the guys we saw last year was the producer.
Nathan East kind of directs the band.
No, but the guy that played guitar, the
Butch Walker?
Yes,
Butch
Walker.
Walker.
Okay.
Butch Walker played that event last year. It was a private event.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely more thrill. It was good last year, but it was definitely more fun this year, I think, because he had a big crowd to play to.
Yeah.
And
he rocked the house, I think.
I think we should point out this is the first time that Yamaha has made this yearly concert available to the public.
That's right.
Not made it a private event.
Yeah.
But please go ahead.
No, and I was going to say it was really nice, and it gave it a different feel. But it's great; it made it kind of fresh. And you know, I have to say too, Nathan East. I think he's pretty much the musical director every year. He's the noted bass player, and he's just fantastic. He's able to pull this amazing group of players, and whether it's Melissa Etheridge or Michael McDonald or Butch Walker, you know, he really supports all the styles, whether they're doing jazz or R&B. Sam Moore was a headliner, the legendary soul singer. He was great, you know, closed with Soul Man, and that was like it was just a great night.
And in case anyone was wondering, you've just named off who we did see, which, once again, Melissa Etheridge, Michael McDonald, Sam Moore. Anybody want to make any comments as to just any, personal thoughts on the performances that you saw from them?
I really, really thought, because I've seen Michael McDonald like 3 or 4 times now, and I think last night it was really, really good. Better than I've ever seen him sing, and it sounded fantastic. I really thought he sounded great.
I thought it was interesting that he did mostly an interesting choice of cover songs. Yeah. Has he done a covers album recently? Or?
Well, he did a few years ago. He did a Motown cover, and I think that they did something off that Motown album last night. But you're right, you know, he did do one Doobie Brothers cut. But yeah, he predominantly kind of went outside his best-known songs, I think, for the show last night.
And, of course, Melissa Etheridge, of course, she did some of her songs, but she did this outstanding cover of the Janis Joplin hit, Take a Little Piece of My Heart Now. And she told this wonderful story in the middle of it. She started out by commenting on the fact that she's playing in front of an audience of musicians. Tougher than a Grammy crowd is what she said. And then she told this story about her, during the song, she related the story about her life coming to Los Angeles when it was all changing over. She was expecting the Eagles and Fleetwood Mac. She shows up and now it's all spandex and hair metal that's ruling the scene. And she ends up playing acoustic guitar in a club in Long Beach. She didn't name the club, but I know which club she was talking about. And because I've actually played there. Yes, I played it. Yes, and but she talks about that, just her experiences with that, and they're very funny stories. But I remember as I was watching her perform, there was someone next to me, two people next to me standing there, and one of them said to the other while she was performing, "She just made a fan out of me. She just converted me to a fan." I thought that was very cool. Yeah.
And that show was, we just saw her recently at Doheny Blues Festival last year. And again, the performances last night were just so much better.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh,
to me,
she was
they
much
were.
better last
Yeah,
night than at the
yeah.
Doheny Blues Festival.
It just didn't have that force. I don't know. And you're talking about the Janis song, and it was like, yeah, that was awesome. That was a
riff off.
fantastic.
Yeah, it really was.
Fantastic job.
She was fantastic, and I know, I may butcher the name here, Mark Broussard, I think. He's a Louisiana singer-songwriter. I had not seen him live, was not familiar with him.
I saw
just
him
fantastic.
He opened for G Love years ago at the House of Blues, and it was like, wow, this guy's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I missed him. He had played a headline gig at the Coach House, and God, I'm really mad I didn't go, but yeah, he hadn't lost a beat, boy. That voice is just amazing too. So,
I also just wanted to particularly point out Sam Moore opening his set, of course. And in case you don't know, Sam Moore, best known as one half of Sam and Dave. To hear him open his show with a soul rendition of John Lennon's Imagine, which, nobody would have expected.
No.
Totally unexpected. Yeah.
Totally not.
And that, and it's hard to think of a single highlight last night, but boy, when he sang Imagine, it gave you chills. It was just he came out and you're going, oh, what's he gonna do? He's probably gonna do Soul Man or something, which he did do.
Yeah.
But I mean, that version of Imagine, I thought was the most powerful part of his set.
And that version of Soul Man was just, if you didn't have fun for that, I don't know why you stay on the couch. Don't come out. Stay on the couch. Because it was really, really, really good. And I don't know how old he is at this point in time, his age, but God,
He's
got to be in his 80s.
82. Yeah.
And one thing I might want to say too is Namm, in the beginning, I guess it was predominantly a place you would kind of come and check out the new instruments, the new gadgets. You would network if, let's say, you were with a music store and stuff. But it has increasingly, the worlds of performance and retail have definitely merged in innovation, and it's such a dynamic, fun experience now to come to Namm. There's, you see all these great music. Yesterday I walked into Buck Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult, and I was walking down the stairs and past me, the lead guitarist of The Offspring walked by me. I mean, and they're just here checking out everything. It's a very exciting show.
I also want to just point out some of the, along with, of course, checking out the music gear and the musical performances, there's also the many discussion panels. Now, I know you and I, we got to attend the panel where we sat in a room with Jeff Emmerich, who was the recording engineer for the Beatles, and got to hear his story, got to hear his side of things about the making of albums like Sgt. Pepper and Revolver and Abbey Road, and what his challenges were dealing with the Beatles, with what they wanted as they got more experimental. You're dealing with very primitive technology. And John Lennon says, I want you to make me sound like I'm the Dalai Lama chanting from 25 miles away, is the instruction he gives him for the song Tomorrow Never Knows. And you got to understand, we have all these computer plugins now. Oh, let me push a button. There, you got it. Okay. It's like we're dealing with primitive 4-track recording machines. We may not even have, we don't even have available to delay units or anything like that for what he's talking about. And his solution was to open up the Leslie speaker cabinet, rotating speaker cabinet from their organ they had in the studio, jury rig a microphone input, and do his vocals that way to get this weird vocal sound for that song, which you now hear on the recording. Just stuff like that. That was absolutely amazing interview. They didn't allow any photography for that, so unfortunately we have no photos of that, and yeah, no recording of that whatsoever. But I want to read his book now and learn more. I learned a lot of things I never knew, and I try to read a lot about the Beatles, and there were a lot of things that I did know, but he gave me more detail into it, so that was really impressive.
Yeah, those were amazing times where they had to do stuff. They had to MacGyver things, as you say, paper clips and roll paper tubes and whatever it was, record in the bathroom with the door closed, whatever it was. But God, and today, like you say, you push a button and you get what you want. It's.
But I also think we lose a spontaneity.
Yes.
Because we have it all pre-programmed and preset. You can monkey with it some, but there is something about the idea, like When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin. You had Bonham's drums down on one floor of a house they're recording in, and then they bring a microphone down a staircase and they record this huge expansive sound that they can't get anywhere else, and just hope it works.
Yeah.
And maybe it wouldn't have worked, but it did. And I think that's kind of what kind of gets missing sometimes from our recording processes now, because we have digital technology taking care of so much, and yet at the same time, it can be invaluable as well. It's a double-edged sword like anything else.
Well, and it's like today, it's like if you know how to use the tools, you have these tools, like you said, you can push a button, you have a digital tool. Once you know all the tools, then I can be an engineer,
Exactly.
And I'm not. I'm not. You say, I want it to sound, oh yeah, push that button and there you go. So, and in the old days, like you said, you thought of all these fantastic ways to record things. And there's one of the documentaries of the 8-part series that was on PBS that talked about some of these things, and it was fantastic too. It's like I wish I should have grown up in that time. Well, I did, but didn't have that available. So.
Yeah.
Robert?
Yeah, no, I think everything we've been talking about, it's Namm kind of has that history where it allows you to look back at some of the groundbreaking artists that kind of set the stage for all these developments today. So it's just, the panels, the musicians, kind of the new advances in technology, it's kind of all here. It's just such an exciting place to be. And anybody out there, if you can ever get to the Namm show, the winter Namm was held typically in Anaheim, California, and then I think summer Namm was in Nashville. And I think and Bob's actually been lucky enough to go to both shows. Try to go. It's just a great experience, and you're going to meet a lot of great people too where music is their passion, and I think that's really exciting as well.
Anybody else have anything else they want to say, or before we wrap this up here?
I think we want to get back out on the floor.
I think we do.
Yeah.
Go find more stuff.
I think we want to get back out there and see what else we can find.
Hey, Bob, thanks so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me, guys. I really do appreciate it. It's always fun to sit down and talk to you guys.
And all the photos you've seen on this particular cast here are Bob's photos here. And, of course, we're going to have his information where you can, contact him as well for any business inquiries, any work. And so, everybody, thank you so much for watching. As always, please subscribe to the channel. And when you do subscribe, be sure to click notifications so you can know when new videos are posted. And we'll just see y'all later. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.